Hi guys, my name is Nonima Tikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about uGwabini and uBongani Ntanzi. And why do I think that uGwabini was dropped and Bongani Ntanzi replaced him? If Gwabini really carried visible documented assault scars, then the state had a catastrophic problem. You cannot parade a witness with fresh assault injuries and still claim the statement was voluntarily. You cannot put him in the dock as an accused because the defense would demand medical reports, assault photographs, custody logs, the arrest timeline, and the entire 204 cooperation fairy tale collapses instantly. So what did the state do? Which is the police, the popo, they quietly removed Gwabini as an accused and inserted Ntanzi as his replacement, because Ntanzi had no assault evidence, no scars, no marks, nothing trying his condition to a forced narrative. Nothing tying his condition to a forced narrative. Meanwhile, Gwabini's physical injuries would have impinged both Gininda and Baloyi. Gininda for the unlawful arrest and assault cover-up, Baloyi for presenting a clean witness who clearly wasn't. That's why his scars were a problem. That's why he vanished from the from the accused list. That's why the state needed Ntanzi to stand in his place. This isn't strategy, it's damage control, I promise you. What if I told you that is what happened? The state didn't fix its case, it replaced its problem, and Gwabini was the problem. So let's break it down. The one detail the state hoped you would never connect. Why Gwabini was quietly removed as an accused, why Ntanzi suddenly appeared as his replacement, and why his switch tells you, why the switch tells you everything about the integrity of the case. Gwabini didn't just have a story, he had evidence on his body. The wrists were showing deep, visible assault scars. Scars that contradicted Gininda's clean narrative. Scars that would have destroyed Baloyi's voluntary statement fantasy. In court, you can argue words, but you cannot argue physical injuries. Those scars were a ticking time bomb. They were a ticking time bomb. If Gwabini testified as an accused, the defense would have demanded custody logs, medical reports, assault photos, call registers, the real arrest timeline. And that would instantly expose unlawfully arrest, assault, coercion, contaminated statements, constitutional violations. No prosecutor wants that mess under oath. So what did they do? They swap. They dropped Gwabini and inserted Bongani Ntanzi. Why Ntanzi? Simple. They made sure he does not have any scars, no assault scars. They made sure no visible injuries. They made sure no physical evidence contradicting the state. They made sure no instant proof of coercion. That's what they made sure. He was the clean replacement. The one who wouldn't sink the 204 narrative, the one whose body wouldn't betray the story. Once you understand the swap, you understand the state's entire strategy. When the evidence didn't fit the story, they replaced the evidence. Not a legal strategy, a cover-up strategy, and it backfired badly. It backfired badly because they did not see Gwabini coming. They did not see Gwabini coming. Gwabini's assault scars were the ultimate courtroom liability, physical proof that his voluntary cooperation wasn't voluntary at all. Those marks would have exposed unlawful arrest, coercion, and the collapse of the Section 204 narrative that Ubaloyi was busy talking about. So instead of facing the truth, the state simply removed him and replaced him with Ndanzi. They are accused with no injuries, no visible assault, no physical contradictions. That is what they did. This is not prosecution. This is narrative engineering. That is what they did. They are horrible people, guys. And you sit and wonder how many people that had scars that were deserted somewhere because EMPD was involved somewhere here. How many people are in dams? Their family members never found them. How many people, because he was taken to graveyards, uGwabini. How many people did not survive this kind of torture in the hands of the police? How many people? It brings us to that question now. The brutality of police is what we are dealing with. What a time to be alive in South Africa. Oh, what a time to be alive, Bafethu. What a time to be alive. This is sad. This is very sad, I'm telling you. Sure. What a time. Because now when Gwabini is relating the story to us, it sounds as if, hey, usixoxela inganekwane, but ebuhlungu. And he is at liberty to be feeling the way he does. So guys, on this video, please tell me your thoughts, because now I'm telling you why Gwabini was dropped and why Ndanzi became the sudden replacement, how assault evidence destroys the narrative of voluntariness, why Gininda and Baloyi couldn't use those scars of Gwabini. And what does this mean for the entire Senzo Meyiwa trial? The truth isn't collapsing, guys. It's already collapsed. Yonke into, it's out in the open. These people, there is someone please tell them, once the Almighty God says the time has come, there is no one on earth who's going to help you, not even the angels of the Lord. Not even the untainted angels will help you. There is nothing that you can do there. I promise you. Sure. So that's what's happening on the other side, guys. That's my observation. Let's talk with comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.